additions or deletions? Sounds like we got, we're gonna review standards, discussion around that, and then we're gonna talk about some unfinished business with waiver request and some things from the minutes from last week. Approval of minutes from 3/29/2025.
One issue, it says in there, wanted Clifford, an evaluator for this upcoming service. Design for drugs.
Okay.
So that was something.
Okay, unfinished business, waiver request and add chief to committee. We'll start with the waiver request, which is Vermont Fish and Wildlife handler, Cody Jackman. Waiver request here is been utilizing FMLA time. Plans to return to duty on or around June 18th. So he's missing, similar to handler Kraus, which is 3 month, 6 training sessions. We'll start by just approving the waiver request. Okay. All right. And then talk about succession with that would be similar to Richard Krause, which we talked about in the evaluator slash service instructor meeting today, about the wording on proposing how to handle these waivers to get the training in, which is, we talked about it last committee meeting. And we're gonna break it down to a time span of, if it's 0 to 6 months, we're gonna do up to 3 days, evaluation by the head trainer at the academy, with addition of an evaluator. If it's a year long, like a deployment or a medical situation, then it could be up to 5 days. Again, with head trainer evaluation and proposal for training needed. You guys want to discuss that or?
Yeah, so, well, what we're thinking for you guys is, if somebody's out, they come back, they're not gonna be squared away in labor. So we just have head trainer look at it up to 3 days, so we can say on day 1, yeah, you're going to go back. But then have an evaluator sign off. So we have 2 parties involved instead of just a head trainer. That's kind of the purpose we want to put in, and I guess we'll break it down into up to 6 months and up to 1 year. More than 6 months probably, because the deployment could be a little.
Yep.
So 6 months, 3 days, and then more than 6 months, 5 days, up to 5 days.
Up to 5 days, not necessarily even 5 days.
So we have a little flexibility in there. Yeah, and we'll explain more when we get into standards about.
These are specific only to deployments.
No,
No.
any waivers.
So injuries, say FMLA, extended FMLA, whatever, but I put out to the handlers, the last couple of days, basically, you're not getting waivers for you can't find babysitter, you can't find shift coverage, stuff like that. This is for serious shit, right? So, and all the handlers were good with it. We had a meeting today about it. So any waiver requests that come in, and they should be actually rare because we're gonna be switching the way training deficiencies are. Instead of just missing 2 meetings, we're gonna work it by quarters. We'll explain that more. But so the waiver should be fairly rare at all. Because you guys had 60 days waivers before or something. So that should all be taken care of. That'll be going. Okay.
And the conversation go with people that are currently missing.
So some of that is the issue we're having with pack track. So pack track allows you to run hours 3 ways: detection, patrol, detection / patrol. The hours don't match up. So we talked to pack track the last couple of days. We talked to the owner yesterday. They're gonna put a fix in the next month or 2 to make this more square away. We went through pack track training today, the way people are entering hours. For instance, if you do a track for 1 hour, and then you switch over into drug mode for 7 hours, it's being listed as 8 hours of each, 16-hour day for 8 hours of work. That's the issue with access. We can very easily do that through our training forms that we turn in. But I'm like, you're a multi-million-dollar company that people are paying for, can you make this work? So I think it'll work. I'm running the numbers back and forth, so it's not gonna be an issue. But I guess to answer your question or whatever, the hours, what I've given you for the training hours are not 100%. Like somebody's got like 60 hours in 2 days, you know. The hours aren't as bad as we thought, put it that way. And the people who were really bad, I've had people come here 3-4 days in the last 2 weeks, a couple people. Yeah, so they're pretty close. Close enough that I feel okay with it for the most.
So yeah, the training today should fix that issue. And
Sure.
the teams were here today, so, and
Yeah.
the ones that weren't here can work with, they're either work, it's the same agency was here, so they can pass that on to their other employees.
Yeah, we're gonna run it for a month and see.
Yep.
If all the numbers come out, we might have to tweak a little again next month, but I am my contract, that's what they're still. Huh?
So you guys, the committee members were part of most of the committee members were part of the PTA talk today. Last meeting, we were to develop a PT standard for canine officers going into the detection school or tracking school and the yearly certifications. We developed one today. The standard does say that basically we as the committee are supposed to develop that PT test, even though a lot of handlers did today with you guys present. So are you guys good? We all agree that we were good with the PT standard. Okay. It doesn't need to be approved by the director or anything like that. So as long as we're good with it. So I guess we can approve on that with the committee now. So,
Make a motion, I approve.
okay. Next topic looks like possibly adding a chief to the committee. Are we still in discussion with that?
I've had communication with the chief who said just not formalize it. Give me some detail on the conversation that you've had with him about commitment and participation.
Zero. I left it all in. I don't remember all about that.
Well, it'll be one of the 365 things that I printed by him every.
I can handle it if you want, like, I'll talk to him.
Well, I need to talk to him anyway, so.
So my thoughts of this, like, my thoughts of this is having a chief on there. But having a chief on there that will say, you know, will speak his mind would be good with other chiefs, right? So I know there's issues out there about, what's going on here, or we're gonna go somewhere else or whatever. He'll now have 2 dogs in the program, the newer dogs. I think he'll be a strong advocate for this. And I think that's one of the biggest things I'm looking for. But it's also keep us in check. I mean, we're the canoe club, right? We're the canine people, so we'll have somebody else to say, I don't think so, guys. So I know a couple chiefs, but I don't know if somebody who might be interested or not. But to me, it's somebody who knows the newer dogs that we're creating now. Obviously, he will.
So I think support wise, definitely we'll have that. I'll have to check on his availability because that's really the important piece for me is to make sure that he's attending these kind of meetings. To keep up with the conversations. It's a fine line, right? Like having a chief that understands what you're doing, then can be a voice to other chiefs and other sheriffs that might have canine programs. So I think with the best of intentions, we'll probably do well. But I would look for feedback from the committee once the chief is assigned to see how that's going.
And so the chief that would come on would be a non-voting member, right? So they would just, yeah, so a trial doing.
We're kind of advisory nature and then
Yeah.
bring any concerns from here. Making sure, I think what's important is making sure from the city that the information that you're discussing and decisions that you make get going back out to chief and sheriff's department.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it'd be good for something like we've been in talks now for months about statewide use of forest policy and stuff. I mean, if he sits on a chief's board or whatever, I think this is something really good to put out to the chiefs, you know, like. We're in our little world down here and people don't know what's going on, so having somebody like that, I think would benefit us. I feel good about it, you know, it benefits us. Good advocate. You want me to reach out to them and
Now I will, because I have 3 other people that I have to write letters of appointments to committees, separate committees, so. That's been in my box for a week, so I'll try to finish up today.
oh, gosh. You got 2 TC positions, you gotta start being a TC now too, right? TC briquette.
Yeah, there are 2 positions.
Next on the agenda is just, standards review discussion, which should probably take up most of the meeting today.
Do you want that? Or do you want to just keep that when you come into the program?
Yeah, I think, not on the list. That'd be my thoughts.
I agree.
I think when people are coming on board now too, I mean, I'm reaching out to them, they fully know what they're getting into at this point. I mean, I've been asked to do oral panels now, we're screening bugs and everything. So I'm also talking, like, I'll talk to the PDs, like, I talked with, Chief Cassett, it's, can you afford a canine program? You know, it's like, it's not, you come in and then rely on the canine association, stuff like that. Yeah, we'll bring up the PT tests as well. Absolutely. All right, my turn. Just from whatever we've been working on these standards for how long, Mark? Long time. Now that they're pretty much in place, starting to see some little tweaks to it, and it is our responsibility to review them once. This is some of the things I picked up on. So this one, a handler must be certified, you can all read. I've had multiple people come to me over the course of the last year, hey, what do you think about this person coming into Canine? They only have 2 years on it. Nope, you're in it 3 years. My opinions on this, when I was in NESPAC, there is no time requirement. It's up to the agency. It shouldn't be my decision to say somebody's a good handler or not. Now, like, I'll sit on an oral panel, but it should be them picking a good handler. So my recommendation is leave the 3 years up there. We'll word it for patrol handlers because there's a lot of liability to that. But as far as a tracking handler or a detection handler, it's like, why can't you have, if somebody's 40 years old, totally squared away, whatever, they're gonna work 10 years and they're not taking a canine, they're not waiting 3 years, they're not gonna ever be, and you lose a good option. Like, I mean, it's on the P's to decide that. Patrol, I would, for liability purposes, as far as like academy and stuff, I would want somebody with a little bit of experience on some sort of tactics to go in, you know, a little bit in syndrome, whatever.
Do you have any discussions? Because I missed all the fun with you and Kim, when she was working through all these about whether the certified law enforcement officer has to be level 3 or not.
So I brought that up numerous times and I never fully got an answer. So that didn't come up. Today I brought it up with the, with all the handlers and stuff. And I mean, as far as could it be a part-time person? I wouldn't totally be against that. You can have a part-time person, like I use the wardens as an example. If they've had their part-time warden with them for 5 years. Dustin's like, this guy's freaking squared away, he should be a canine handler. Well, that's on Dustin, you know, the head of his canine program, like, yeah, why wouldn't we do that? So, are people gonna slip through the cracks? Absolutely. But that's part of the head trainer's job, when we do the oral panels, like to be able to pull some of that out possibly. But I don't know, like you guys run the academy, I don't feel that should be an academy decision to make. I think it should be more along the lines of the PD. We have this person that we want. Do they always pick the right people? No, I have seen it.
I think it's important that you guys have that discussion, because aside from all those things, and I get what you're saying there. You know, some folks will only ever employ a level 2 officer. So they don't, while they might have the skill and the desire and the drive, you know, canine is a specified specialty in my mind, right? Like that's in addition to your basic training you get. The reality of level 2 training shows you that some people are hired at level 2 and they're gonna do nothing more than transports and work in the court. Some people are hired as level 2 and all they do is patrol work or a sheriff. So, you know, by leaving it open, you're saying that anybody, regardless of what they're hired to do or what training they've had beyond their right now, 2 weeks, and then their, you know, additional hour requirements and core classes in FTO, aren't gonna have any real specialty niche or understanding about canine. So again, I'm not saying that to be exclusive of them, I'm just wondering if you guys thought that through, like, does the warden service still have?
The deputy program?
Yeah,
Yeah, but we're down to 2 deputies in the entire state right now, so I think that's actually probably gonna go away soon.
State police has five auxiliaries.
like wardens are, they have a very specific, you know, mission. They're not out doing patrol, they're not out doing burglary investigations, you know, unless they're actively engaged in it. I mean, for the most part, their mission is around fish and wildlife, so it's more narrowly focused, where I could see an exception for an agency and an agency mission, where I might, again, not me, you might, as the canine committee, might want to scrutinize a little bit more of what somebody's actual job function is. You know, we have people that have come into an agency as a level 2 person, and they've not through 3 or 4 agencies. You know, they've gotten real no experience other than hopping from one place to another, so I only ask you just, you know, ponder whether you consider it.
Yeah, I mean, we bounced it around a bit, and like I said, that's why it wouldn't be the patrol. I mean, tracking and action on, that's it. So as far as them getting into really bad shit, yeah, it's possible, absolutely, they can track them. But some of it too is when we're on the oil pan, pull this out, like, and talk to the PD, if you really think this 1 week officer should do this, explain the responsibilities of what a real, a modern canine unit consists of, and then again, state police auxiliaries, same thing, there's 15, 20 of them, whatever, like, I've only been auxiliaries for 15 years. Say, you can't be canine handler, although if you can totally square away, you just make more money at IGM than a week, I think as long as the standards allow for us to sit on the oral panels and basically have a say, yes or no, we'd be okay. But I'm not saying it's bulletproof by any stretch. I am not. But I will say I've had multiple people in the course of last year come up to me and ask, and they're under the 3-year line. So now, and we had to do that with BSP before we went nest time. And a couple of those people probably would have been really good handlers, and never were. They just were the troops. So I think it opens up a larger pool. Yeah, there's a lot of the departments have to make good decisions on who they're picking, but also us on whether we feel good with it as well. I mean, I feel pretty good that, like, if I sat on an oil panel right now and a guy totally bombs it, but a PD's like, no, we really want this person. If that has happened to, I feel pretty good the academy would back me up and say, yeah, like, for these reasons, I don't.
Could this be an exception for level 3 officers then? Because most of these agencies that you're talking about, they're level 3 officers, but they might not have the 3 years on. Where director's talking about deputy sheriff that's only doing transport at level 2, and all of a sudden he or she wants to be a canine handler, but no real.
So we're saying, so take the part-time out of it?
add the part-time, because nothing's added right now as far as level
Right,
2 or level
right.
3. So now if you want to make an exception to their year requirement, now you could say as long as they are level 3 officers.
What's level?
Full time. So your VSP handlers that are 1 year on, 2 years on, your municipalities that send somebody to the academy are 1, 2 years on, but they're motivated individuals, they want to be in canine. But we won't get those deputy sheriffs that are doing transports or court stuff, and all of a sudden, like, hey, we need a canine for the department, you want to be it? They really have no experience with police work. We can kind of like add to the standard. It's an exception for
So. Read it off, what was some,
so you would have to break down level 2, level 3 in this standard and say if you are a level 3 officer, meaning you went to the full-time basic class, then you could be exempt from the 3-year requirement.
and then leave the 3-year for.
Yeah. The problem, the other like scenario I have is like one of my applicants that are coming up for the central canine handler position for Fish and Game was a level 2 officer, I believe, like from a sheriff's department, and did all the police work. And he's gonna have 3 years experience for law enforcement, which is the standard now, to apply if you get canine handler. But I think he might have been level 2 until we sent him to the academy.
Again, I'm only bringing this up for conversation, not to.
I agree with the director as far as we don't want.
I don't either. And maybe I put too much faith in departments picking the right people.
But unfortunately, now a department can send somebody to the canine program and just be a transport guy or have real no experience, but that person also might make a good canine handler too, if they are good with dogs
And
and.
you could have a part-time doing transports for 15 years.
Or relying on the PD or the sheriff's department or the,
I am putting faith in a lot in my head.
Yep.
And I know. No, it's not 100%.
but we can also change these standards, so we can make an exception right now. Level 3, might have an exception to the 3-year requirement right now.
So, hey, Scott. Yeah. You can jump in if you want. We're just going over some standards. We have enough people though, so if you got something going on, go ahead. Yeah, that's fine. All right, that's it. Yeah, so we wanna, change it to what?
Keep in mind that this conversation started about your limit about 3 years, and you were thinking about either minimizing or doing away with that based if you saw somebody that had an account and the experience, right? So
Yeah, no, I moved in a part-time.
don't lose track of what it was originally we were looking to do, just because I threw that curveball at you. I just didn't know whether you had those conversations amongst you.
You wanna just maybe change it for now, like just get rid of the 3 years, a handler must be level 3 certified law enforcement. That's full time, right?
Full time, yeah.
So that goes out to 3 years, so we're keeping the part-time on now. We're discussing more over this next week.
I agree with that.
That's just for tracking. That's not do that.
Oh, yeah, good point. Yeah, forgot about that. A handler must be a level 3 certified law enforcement officer.
Before entering the patrol school
Okay.
canine program,
Yeah, something like
Right.
that's in the separate.
uh, But again, you never broke down level 2, level 3 in the standard now, so they could technically be a level 2 officer right now. And go to patrol school.
Do we even want to do, like, what do we think? Like, probably shouldn't have part-time or something.
I see that as like some of the smaller communities, if they're running just a level 2 person and they've been doing patrol work for, let's say, 10 years, still out there. I don't know if you want to exclude that. No?
Good job, isn't it?
Okay.
Can you deny as a head trainer a PD into the program regardless?
So I think if I come up with some reasons and the academy backs me, we can, but I would assume they really have to be family reasons. We have certain things like now we have a PT test that can't pass it. Right?
Because Mark's right, there's a lot of municipalities that have great part-time, that you probably work full-time hours, but part-time officers, that are really good patrol officers, that could be canine officers.
Right. That's why I don't want.
So we don't want to knock that either.
You're gonna think about your entrance standards to get into canine training. That's really the information, so like, because you already have them, the requirements that are certified law enforcement officers, so they will have already met the background, the psychological profile, the polygraph, and all that kind of stuff, and PT to have become a law enforcement officer. Now, there really isn't, in my mind, I wish I had an attorney, right, but thinking along the lines of, how are you definitively going to deny somebody unless they can't meet the standards that you have set up for entry into the canine program? If they fail those entry standards, then that's one thing, imagine. But other than that, if I'm an agency and I say, if I got the money, my community wants a canine, we just got one, then I want you to train it. And you say, no. What's your justification? Like, I'm the employer, I'm telling you, I want you to train, you provide training.
Why do I miss out on all things?
I think that's where your standard really came about,
Really had.
For the PT test.
It's certified law enforcement.
Why 3 years?
I don't know.
Why not 2 years? I mean, if you're gonna be a probationary trooper or a fish and game officer, you're already in training program for a year. That takes a year there. You can't be a canine handler, well, probationary period because you're in FTO or whatever. And then you got this whole other year to learn how to be a trooper or a game ward or a officer. Like, why not we just make it like 2 years?
I think 3 years came from, usually patrol officers getting their feet, you're just getting solid on the
Yep.
road at 3 years.
Okay.
I think that's where that came from.
And that's the reality of our department as well, is like, it takes years to become a good field warden. Therefore, you probably won't be looking at specialties until years or so. But if we drop it to 2 years, are we gonna get those candidates that you're talking about, that are level 3
Yeah,
officers?
I would think. We want to put the level 3 in there.
No. No, based on what Mark said, there is very good patrol officers for level 2 that have been with PDs for years. They just never,
Do we want to put in years?
you're knocking down the yearly requirement altogether.
Now, full-time, 2 years. Part-time, 4 years, keep it the same.
That would keep it the same.
Okay, so just keep that whole thing in there and say 2 years. Okay, let's move on.
From a municipality perspective, I mean, would you hire somebody that was an officer less than 2 years? Or would you have a candidate? Have you ever come to that?
We're running into that right now.
Okay.
We have such a young department that we don't have a choice, but I mean, we're promoting guys with 4 or 5 years on right now.
Yeah.
We don't have the opportunity we don't have the staff that have that 10 to 10 years on to make a sergeant or detective or whatever. Now it's we've got guys a year and a half, 2 years of being FTOs because we just don't have anybody that's got the experience. That's kind of where we're at. So I mean, I think
Yeah, you're lucky to get like longevity out of someone, 4 to 6 years, maybe they're saying, and then people are hopping, you know.
Can we get a vote for now to drop it to 2 years? The wording is the same, we just dropped the year requirement to 2 years.
Yeah, hang on one second. So one more thing, like. With it at 3 years though, because we just did it, you can waive, right?
I can waive any council rule.
That's what
It's
you're saying.
a standard.
You would do for our last proposal.
Do it.
Somebody waived it. It was waived.
If you have it based on function instead of years, so like, if the concern is people who are not in the field, could it be like, they're doing work in the courtroom, could it be less focused on years requirement and more on their actual function, control function, or something of that?
I actually like that.
So like, say 2 years patrol experience.
Is that, like, patrol is just a general term, you're out there, out in the field.
That's about it.
Okay, nobody's getting hired and going right into detectives or some specialty. Most of your departments are having people start with patrol and then.
Unless
Yeah.
you were taken on as a part-time to do transport.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that, yeah.
That sounds good. And it sounds like we always have a waiver option too. So. I say we change it to 2 years
Okay,
patrol
2 years of patrol law enforcement,
experience.
okay. Cool.
It was not 15 minutes ago.
Okay. All right, one down, 12 to go. Let me see.
Sorry, that was or something.
All right, and go. Pick this one. This was actually the evaluators. So right now, assist with evaluating, review and minimum of 4 certifications. Change that to 2 per discipline. So like Clifford, who only does narcotics, only has to do 2 days. Good. That was This was Lindsay. We talked about this one last time. We'll just change this 2 and 2, right? That's what the, your instructor. Instead of 3 and 2 or 5.
Yes. So if you're dual purpose, you're doing 4 total.
And then on the I down here, I recommend removing the whole line. So this was when people put this in, so they didn't have to come to the academy. They can make an alternate plan with the head trainer. My thoughts are you come down to the basic school. Period. So just remove that paragraph. and leave it.
I had a question on that. Let's say we have an evaluator that is on FMLA during certifications. Do we might want to keep that there so they can make up it some way or instructor, sorry, in-service instructor? If they are an in-service instructor, then they have to go recertify and they're on military deployment, FMLA, injury. Is that person no longer an in-service instructor because of that issue? Are they able to get a waiver request for that?
Would they be able to get away with that? Scenario by again?
So the requirement for in-service instructor is to attend 2 days of the basic school, which is what's 16 weeks? And attend, if you're also dual purpose, 2 days of the protection school. Let's say that I injure my leg and I'm out for the entirety of the 8 weeks to 10 weeks of the detection school and I can't make it. Are you able to waive me as an in-service instructor? Because I couldn't attend that school.
I think so.
Okay. So I guess we could still knock that,
Yeah.
remove that.
Yeah, same thing would be because you're not getting your 80 hours even.
Right, you would still be able
That might
to
be-
waive, yeah,
So just wait. Oh.
Okay.
All right.
there's not a lot of.
He only would lose his mind with me.
Hey, let's just remember where this all started, right?
Just remove what's in pink, so, this is an old archaic thing, you need to follow the ground scent. So this, the canine team must locate and indicate the track.
Yeah. What that means is like the dog's nose is on the ground for the majority of the track, which we don't.
It's a sport dog, it's tracking, we do trail. So take that out. The next one is same thing with the tracking. Yeah, this one first, so it's still 1.5 miles. So we gotta put that down at a 1/2 mile in 30 minutes.
Yeah, the committee already approved of this, going to a 1/2 mile, it just hasn't been changed.
And then the same thing, the track, followed by ground, so move that. So drug detection. Remove crack and ecstasy. So the dogs will be certified to detect cocaine, heroin, methamphetamine, and the derivatives. Crack is a derivative of cocaine. MDMA, ecstasy is methamphetamine. That's nationally, that's usually what it is. So there could be an advanced drug course that was 5 or 7, or 9, whatever. But all we really need to do is 3. We still train on all 5. We just don't certify. All right, odor recognition test. Are you that? No,
But mine,
I'm not, I think it's bigger.
The Zoom thing on the bottom right, if you want,
Is that?
the Zoom button on the bottom right screen. That might. Right, up, there you go. Oh, never mind.
don't worry, I don't agree.
Okay, so basic. It's an odor recognition test. It's for, protection. We can do all the detection on this. So it's basically, in the past, if the dog is certified on 7 drugs, we would do 7 drugs every single station. There's no reason to. The new national standard, well, for the last 15 years, has been an odor recognition test. You bring your dog in and they find those 7 drugs. And you just put it on a pinwheel or whatever, it's just blind, they come in, boom, they find coke, boom, they find heroin, boom, they find ecstasy. Now, when you're going to your different locations, you're not testing that they know the drugs. Testing, can they handle that environmental? A building, a house, a car, the open fields, whatever. So what we can do is still require all drugs on cars and residents. We're gonna up the stations to 4. So in the past, it was 3 stations, so now it'll be 4, but those other 2 stations only need 1 drug, whatever it is. So it'll be a total of 8 fines. With that being said, in the past, it was you can have 2 misses and you fail. Now it goes down to 1 because we cut the fines down to that. Now, what's a detection certification for? We know they can find the drugs. Where are we making them find the drugs, find the drugs, find the drugs, find the drugs? 4 different locations. We know they can. We work through that environment. That's pretty much what the national is. This is mass pack as well. Yeah, yep. So F, where it says all odors shall be tested during each of these areas. All odors shall be tested. I would keep vehicle and residence. Keep that on there. The other ones can just be one. So same thing with all the detection, changing all for that order recognition test.
So when you say residents, you're talking the room search?
Yeah,
Okay, so are you having all 3 orders for drugs in one room?
nope, so right down here. Building search is what it is, consists of 4 to 6 rooms, each should have some type of furniture in it. One room, no aids, so clean room, one room with 2 aids. All of them.
Okay.
So that's your residence, your building search.
Okay.
And would you want to do GSR that way? 'Cause
So
we got
we should
some
do-
real sort of-
Yeah, I think we're gonna end up doing probably all odor disciplines this way, including cadaver, GSR,
If he hops on, I guess the.
electronics. They all go through odor recognition test,
Yep, all.
and then that would cover your derivatives.
Guys good with that? Move on.
And then you said it could be the scent wheel, it could be box.
Anything.
It could be, is that the
Yeah,
discretion of
you could
the,
do a scent wall, the pinwheel, you could do scent boxes, whatever. The odor recognition test takes about 1 minute if you're all prepared to go. You just put it in, dog's in, dog walks out of the room, change it out, dog walks in, just keep switching to a different box. Whatever. Very slick, very quick. Both, you got the odor recognition test, and then you can move on. And it's most likely going to be required nationwide before long. So let's get ahead of the curve.
sounds good. I think we,
That's all I have. Go ahead.
On that standards, the, hourly in-service training requirement, it gets still reflected as a monthly standard mentioned quarterly.
Oh, yes. I got a couple circle things here that I didn't highlight. Yeah, so we're thinking of doing, I think in the standard it says if you miss 2 days, the academy sends a letter to the chief. The handler needs to reach out to me and put together some sort of system to bring you back up to speed. So what we're thinking about doing is run it by quarters, so quarterly. So you need, I'll just use one discipline, you need 24 hours. If they miss 1 or 2 of those days, they have the following quarter to make it up. If they make it up and it's all in line, nothing happens. That's why I would save waivers and this training, whatever. They have ample time. But if they do go out, say a broken leg or whatever, that's why we kind of change things. They're gonna miss 1 or 2 trainings. Technically, 2 trainings is in 1 month. I'll be sending letters out, people miss the month all. So if they do the quarter, they miss in a quarter, they can make it up for that following quarter, and it's a wash.
It can make it up in more than a time frame.
What's that?
They can make it up in more amount of time frame back the next quarter.
Just that quarter. So if you miss January, February, March, you miss March, you have April, May, and June to make that up. So you gotta make up 2 days sometime.
And we're gonna miss April and May.
Well, if you're in the second quarter missing, now you're gonna get that letter. You're missing too much. I hound people make it.
But I know how easy it is to miss time, like, it happens, right, like, it happens, but that leeway and that allowance of somebody, oh yeah, they're just gonna make it up is what led to the demise of anybody doing training, anybody, that, it led to the demise of the reality of the canines actually being able to do the work, because the handlers were doing the work, and the handlers being allowed to continue with this stuff. So I'm not saying that that's the mindset now, and that there are people now that recognize that and, are following what we should be doing, but it's a very easy slope to get back to. So I'm good with changing it to quarterly, but quarterly is 3 months, right? So you get into the next quarter, you have somebody that's missed maybe maybe 2 months, but not the third month. Now, the next month they're making up the 1 month that they missed. But they missed another one in the next quarter. Like, I just don't want to see a spiral of that happening.
So part of the problem used to be though, nobody's paying attention to it. People are paying attention to it now. Okay, so it's not. At least for the next 7 months.
They're going more than 2 quarters anyway, they have to,
That triggers the other thing that we were talking about earlier.
so they can't continuously go quarter to quarter to
They
quarter.
can't do it right.
They have a maximum of 2.
And the reason we were doing the quarters is you can't come to me in January through the entire month with me and then talk the rest of the year. Right, so quarterly, I don't think it's a big deal. I mean, I'll be honest with you, if he misses a couple months, it's probably gonna be the same. Most part, it's people, I didn't train for a year, 12 months. I didn't do one in-service thing, I just did the service. And I was good to go. No, that is not allowed. now. So I think it was too extreme doing the 2 days and they're getting a letter and we're not sending letters anyway, have we? No. So I think at the quarterly, if they're actually doing that, I will draft a letter for you guys to send at that point. They're pissing on the program at this point. So, everybody misses a month here and there, every one of us. So I think that was a little too stringent. I kind of like the quarterly thing, leadership together. Come back, you have the next quarter to catch up. But yeah, I can't just continuously go down. Faith, I need faith.
It does feel like the group that was here today, there's a lot of buying into the program now. You know, Richard does just a really good job of turning out a great product. And the people who are doubting it kind of see it and see the product now. There's a whole, it feels like there's a whole shift with the program now, which is great. I mean,
Here's a question,
Yeah,
There certainly is a lot more accountability nowadays.
Yeah.
And for the people that want to stay in this program, I think is what Clifford is saying.
And yeah, and just to get on that, like, I mean, I'm getting texts and emails constantly, like, this training day, this, whatever. People want to do this.
the people who don't want to be here, they get come back.
People who don't want to be here left. So the group that was here today, I can't really complain about them, so we're in it. So the quarterly thing. Just go with it.
I agree with it.
I'm good with it. That's all I have on, wait, yeah, that's all I have.
So moving on is the last portion of public comment.
you guys, I gotta go reach out. Try to help. Thank you, let me fail.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Yep, thank you. Anything else?
No.
Motion to adjourn.
Sure. Then I guess, how we want to do this as far as, want us to draft the language for the changes or?